where the news comes first 24 hours a day. This is Oklahoma's News Channel 4.
I smell victory in the air. I smell victory in the air. And Tuesday's going to be a great day. And Oklahoma's going to be part of it.
Senator Bob Dole looking to sway Oklahomans with his know-how. With years of Washington experience under his belt, he's confident he can win your vote. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us in the News Channel at 10 o'clock. I'm Sean McLaughlin, in for Kent Ogle tonight.
And I'm Lee Evans. As you can see, the candidates are hitting the pavement already, looking to grab your vote on Super Tuesday. It's just a few short days before Oklahoma decides. Frontrunner Bob Dole traveled through the Sooner State today. His first stop, Oklahoma City. Dole spoke to a crowd of Republicans this morning at the Cowboy Hall of Fame. The News Channel's Quinn Tran recaps his visit. Oklahoma Republicans are armed with signs and stickers with a simple message: Bob Dole for president.
He's able to reach out to veterans. He's able to reach out to Democrats. He's able to reach out to independents. He's able to broaden the base of the Republican Party. He's able to beat Bill Clinton in November.
Senator Don Nichols introduced Dole to the crowd of about 800. Dole touched on issues like cutting taxes, reforming welfare, and getting tough on crime.
And we ought to take away parole. There shouldn't be any parole if you commit a violent crime.
But his main focus was on winning Super Tuesday.
Smell victory in the air. And Tuesday's going to be a great day. And Oklahoma's going to be part of it. Remember, I'm your neighbor. Treat your neighbors kindly. You know, be nice to your neighbors.
Those in this crowd say he doesn't need to worry. They say he's a man they know, a man they'll follow, a man who has years of know-how.
He's worked in the Congress for so many years and has been able to make things happen even when he was in the minority. And if he has a majority in the Congress and he's the president, we're going to see things happen that we should have seen happen years ago.
Thank you, Senator Dole.
And along with his experience, supporters say he has vision and fundamental values.
He's honest, he's honest, he's honest. He works hard, he works hard, he works hard. He's a great, great, great man.
He's a man who stands a front runner in the GOP race for president. Quinn Tran, News Channel 4. And of course, Super Tuesday will mean a great deal to the GOP candidates. That's because 362 delegates to the Republican convention are up for grabs on that day.
While Dole drummed up votes here, another frontrunner was going for the big prize in Texas. Conservative commentator Pat Buchanan was in Nacogdoches today. He was smiling out from under a 10-gallon hat. The former Nixon speechwriter fired from the hip at Clinton's administrative record on foreign policy. Meanwhile, Dole's closest opponent so far, Steve Forbes, was beating the campaign trail in the southeast section of the country. Forbes was pulling for votes in the Sunshine State, making an appearance in Florida. But he chose to pull a no-show in Miami, where he was scheduled to go a few rounds in a Christian coalition debate. Forbes still thinks he can pull in the Florida votes, though. He's hoping voters will go for his flat tax idea, since residents there already don't have to pay income tax.
The White House was feeling some heat today, but it wasn't necessarily from the Republican campaign. A fire actually broke out within the walls of the First Family's home earlier today. Fortunately, the flames didn't do too much damage. The Clintons weren't even at home. In fact, the president was in California doing some campaigning himself. It seems back at the White House, an electrician accidentally sparked the small fire while doing some maintenance work. Firefighters had to tangle with a much bigger blaze in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Flames began shooting from the Georgia Pacific warehouse there around 6 this morning. Lumber and office supplies stored in the plant just added more fuel to the fire, making it a full day's work for those battling the inferno. Firefighters spent the rest of the day putting out hot spots.
A follow-up to a story we've been keeping tabs on all week. A train derails, forcing residents from their homes. Today, some of them returned for a short time for the first time since Monday. It was earlier this week, a train carrying propane derailed and caught fire in the town of Weyauwega, Wisconsin. This afternoon, under the escort of the National Guard and protective gear, residents brought back hundreds of stranded cats and dogs. The pets had been there since Monday when the owners were forced out in a rush. Meanwhile, the fire continues to burn, and it could be weeks more before it's safe for residents to go home for good. Another follow-up for you. Brothers to the Rescue planes began flying again today. It's been 2 weeks since 2 of its planes were shot down by Cuban military jets. The Miami-based Cuban exile group is now forced to follow stricter U.S. government regulations when flying anywhere near Cuba. The FAA announced yesterday that anyone straying into Cuban airspace would be grounded and possibly have their license revoked. Brothers to the Rescue dropped supplies to Cuban refugees in camps.
An elderly couple dies this afternoon at a remote railroad crossing. It happened in Woodward. 88-year-old Thelma Bell Irwin and her husband, 90-year-old Raymond H. Irwin, died when their car was hit by a freight train. The true crew members on board the 105-car train were not injured. The man who helped O.J. Simpson get a not guilty verdict was in our neck of the woods today. Attorney Johnny Cochran was honored this afternoon in Tulsa. Cochran was given the Medgar Evers Distinguished Leadership Award. The Southwest Conference of the NAACP handed him the honor. In accepting, Cochran encouraged African Americans to unite. He also urged the NAACP to make ties with other organizations in an effort to establish bonds and gain a better understanding of each other.
He's entertained us for nearly half a century.
George Burns passed away this morning. Up next, a look back on his life and reaction from friends and fellow comedians.
And we'll show you what Oklahomans are doing to help bombing victims attend the trial in Denver. Keep it here.
17. Eve was 15, 16 tops. I figured then 16, 17 was middle age, you know. Who knew people would live so long?
For decades, he's won us over with his quick wit and remarkable charm. A simple gesture could make us double over with laughter. On radio, television, and on the big screen, George Burns and his wife Gracie touched all of our lives. This morning in his Los Angeles home, George Burns, at age 100, died quietly in his sleep. A private funeral is scheduled Tuesday for comedian extraordinaire George Burns.
Meanwhile, the entertainment world remembers the man behind the stand-up comedy. Just hours after his passing, dozens of fans left flowers and signature cigars on the steps of Burns' home. His manager and friend, Irvin Fine, said Burns worked until he was 99 years old. Fine remembers how Burns loved nothing better than his audience.
George was not a quitter. He worked, he loved show business, and he looked forward to working every day. He'd get up, he'd be exhausted before he went on, but that audience laughter and the audience applause would pick him up. He'd walk off stronger than he went on.
Joined the world in mourning his death, but I think George had two goals. One was to live to be 100, and the other was to rejoin Gracie. So he's on his way there now.
A nice man, a really nice man, and it's a terrible loss to comedy, but we all have to go sometime to make room for these kids, and he's up in heaven making God laugh now, you know.
President Clinton calls George Burns one of the greatest entertainers of all time.
Bombing survivors and victims' family members wanting to attend the trial in Denver got some financial help today. A local radio station asked its listeners to come out to Taft Stadium this morning. About 250 weathered the cold to participate. Everyone was given a piece of cardboard and then arranged to form a flag of Oklahoma with a heart in the middle. An aerial photo was taken of the group, and that picture will be made into a poster and sold. All proceeds go to the Victims' Travel Fund.
You know, it's an old saying, good things come to those who wait, and we have been waiting a long time for some warmer temperatures. Dan's up next to tell us, hopefully, when they'll arrive.
And 3 new state champions crowned tonight in basketball. Bob Berry Jr.'s got highlights a little later on in sports.
And now, the weather with Dan Threlkeld.
These guys are a riot here. 15 after 10 o'clock, temperature across Oklahoma starting to cool off now with a clear sky. Temperatures across the state will get a lot cooler across parts of Oklahoma. Temperature 27 right now. Winds are from the southeast at 9 miles per hour. The morning low temperature got down to 14 degrees. The cloud cover during the overnight and early morning hours allowed the temperature to stay up a little bit warmer than what was forecast. 9 was my forecast for this morning, so it didn't get nearly that cold. 43 this afternoon. This time of year should be around 59. We're going to be a lot closer to normal by tomorrow. What we still need is rain. There's even a chance of that coming up in the 7-day forecast. Temperatures now are in the 20s and the 30s in northwestern Oklahoma. In around Woodward, the temperature 37 degrees. In around Altus, temperature 38. And our winds are returning now to the south and southeast. And those winds will be a lot stronger, it looks like, on Sunday. In fact, high fire danger because of the dry conditions and the increasing winds across the region. Mentioned all the records that were broken across the east and the southeast. Temperatures there extremely cool for today. You look at some of the temperatures in Florida. In Tampa, people go there to get into the warm weather this time of year. Well, temperature there only made it up into the low 50s. And around Tallahassee, 46 was their high. Huntsville, Alabama, the high today, 37 degrees. We'll take a look at all the clouds. That's the next storm system that's going to be pushing in, causing mainly rain across parts of the northwest in through Washington, Oregon, and we're going to be seeing some in Idaho and Montana. This storm system is going to be kind of breaking apart a little bit. Stronger system is going to be moving in from the southwest, and it's that storm system that will increase our chances of rain coming up on Wednesday and Thursday across the area. In the meantime, large area of high pressure. We've got high pressure out to our west, area of low pressure. It's the difference in these pressure that causes the winds. Think of it kind of like, well, marbles rolling down an incline. Winds will go from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure. And across the region for the next couple of days, we're going to be having a lot of wind. Winds 15 to 25 for tomorrow, even stronger than that, looks like on Monday. 50s and 60s for temperatures tomorrow afternoon. Should be a great day. A lot of sunshine across the region tonight. Down into the teens across northern Oklahoma. We'll see 20s across central parts of the state with south winds about 5 to 15 miles an hour. So heading off to church tomorrow morning, you'll definitely need the jacket. And the forecast for tomorrow afternoon in the 50s and the 60s. A good looking day tomorrow with south winds at 15 to 25 miles per hour. 20 is the forecast low. South winds at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. And the forecast for Sunday, 57 degrees, south winds at 15 to 25 miles an hour with a lot of sunshine, a lot more than what we had today. Here's the forecast then for the next several days. You can see the winds are going to be around for the next several days and an increasing chance of some rain. Right now I'm not getting real worked up about it, only about a 20% chance of rain. Someone's getting worked up over it. 20% chance of rain coming up on Wednesday and a 20% chance of rain on Thursday, dropping off a little bit by the upcoming weekend. So maybe we're going to finally get some rain in here with opportunity coming up Wednesday and Thursday.
No offense, but we're not going to hold our breath. We've been waiting for this for so long.
How many times have we had that little 20% chance? It comes and goes.
Just enough to
Every
tease
single
you.
week.
One of these times, though, we're going to get wet. Maybe this is it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Well, in sports, it was a one-day deal in Stillwater, but the Big Eight's best grapplers settled the last conference championship.
Bob Berry Jr. joins us next for the Old League's wrestling and basketball tournaments, plus another 3 gold balls presented to our state's top high school hoopsters. Saturday sports coming your way.
And now, sports with Bob Berry Jr.
Well, good evening, everyone. The high school basketball season officially ended tonight with the crowning of 5 more state champions. 3 games were here in the city, and 2 were in Tulsa. Let's show you what happened this afternoon. Some earlier games. Got to pay tribute to the John Marshall Bears. Joe Atkins hitting this shot in the 5A state championship game. And John Marshall not only wins basketball as an undefeated team, 28-0, they won football as an unbeaten team, 14-0. First team, boys team to ever do that in the history of the state of Oklahoma. John Marshall won by that score. Norman got jump shots like this, and Sherry Cole's Tigers won the state women's 6A championship game this afternoon. Look at them. They even trample the Sapulpa players here after the game, but they're happy. Final 73-35. Norman wins by 38 points. Not in overtime, just a regular score there. Here's what happened tonight. Look at Derek Thomas of Tulsa, Washington. This is why he's going to Syracuse on a basketball and academic scholarship. Get out of the way. Final 70-55. Tulsa, Washington beats Norman to win the 6A boys state championship. That game was played in Tulsa. And Carl Albert's girls won the state title. That's Paige Sauer going to the University of Connecticut as Carl Albert won the game 54-38 to take that state championship. That game was also in Tulsa. Here are the games at State Fair Arena. Canton coach Chris Gore watching her girls playing for the state title against Indianola. Janice Kephart hitting the shot there, then Sherry Leering for Indianola, and they finished 30-1 on the year. And the final score of this game as we watch Indianola, nice left-hander there, 53-43 for Indianola, winning the 2A girls state championship. Carnegie and Rattan were playing for the 2A boys state championship, and Terrell Hill inside. He's going to be one of the top recruits in the nation next year as Carnegie played and beat Rattan in this one for the 2A Boys State Championship. And Elk City and Sallisaw playing in the 3A Girls Championship game in the city. Keitha Dickerson for Elk City hitting that shot. And then you'll see Athena McCoy, the three-pointer for Sallisaw. Well, they're in Blue Ribbon Downs territory. Final score in this one, 55-48. Sallisaw wins the state championship in Class 3A Girls. And congratulations to all the teams that played and won today and the teams that made it to the finals. The same two teams that finished first and second during the regular season will decide the Big 8 basketball tournament championship and the automatic berth into the NCAA tournament tomorrow in Kansas City. Here's why. In the semifinals today, it was Kansas against Kansas State. And the shot by Omi May, the three-pointer in Kansas State, was ahead in the first half. But too much Kansas down the stretch. Jacques Vaughn penetrates, fed Ryan Robertson for the three. Final 61-55. Kansas heading to the championship game, and that was expected. This was a good one. Norm Stewart's Missouri Tigers, who beat Oklahoma last night against Iowa State. Dedrick Willoughby, the shot. It goes in a very tight game. That tied it at 51-all. And then watch Kenny Pratt with the tough shot to take the lead, and Iowa State hung on to eliminate Missouri and advance to the final 57-53, the final in the Big 8 semifinal number 2 today. And this was maybe one of the best games I've seen all year tonight. Georgetown against Connecticut for the Big East Championship. Georgetown looked like they'd pull away in the second half. You saw the shot by Victor Page there, but UConn outscored the Hoyas 12-0 late. What a slam by Kurt King there. Georgetown led by only 1. Watch Ray Allen. This is an incredible shot. He'd missed 14 shots in a row. How did he make that? Talking about skywalking. He hits it. Connecticut's ahead by 1. Last chance. Allen Iverson misses. Rebound, miss again. Clock runs out. UConn wins the Big East Championship 75-74 in a thriller at Madison Square Garden tonight. All right, in the SEC semifinals, Kentucky, ranked number 1 in the nation, goes to the championship game against Mississippi State after their victories today. In the Atlantic Coast Conference semifinals, Wake Forest and Georgia Tech will play for the championship tomorrow and the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament after their victories. Texas Tech wins the last ever Southwest Conference Championship tournament. They beat Texas. And Cincinnati goes as the Conference USA member as they beat Marquette and won that tournament today in overtime. UMass will go as the Atlantic 10 Conference champ. They beat Temple tonight, and Utah and New Mexico have just started to decide the Western Athletic Conference basketball tournament champion. The last Big 8 wrestling championships in history took place all in one day and night in Stillwater, since the league will enter the Big 12 starting next year. And here's a look at some of the action in Stillwater tonight before a good crowd. Oklahoma State fans watching their guys at 142. Iowa State's Derek Mountseer scored a takedown over Scott Renee to win that match. There's Jack Spates watching his Sooners Biff Jones at 150 pounds against Iowa State's Chris Bono. Jones scored a point on riding time. Here's Bobby Douglas, who used to go to OSU, who's now the coach at Iowa State. The match went into overtime, and Biff Jones was penalized a point, giving the match to Chris Bono. At 167 pounds, OSU coach John Smith saw his team take another individual title. Mark Branch with the takedown here. He won, and Oklahoma State wins the team championship. With 70 points, they qualify 8 for the upcoming NCAA tournament. The Sooners qualify 5 and finish 3rd in the final Big 8 wrestling championships in Stillwater. And in hockey tonight, the Blazers playing in Tulsa. This game is a tie hockey game right now at 2-2. And you're seeing the goal there right in front for Tulsa. George DuPont got a goal to tie the game at 2-2, and is this a final? Or they're going into a shootout now, as I understand. 2-2 in a shootout. The Blazers, who've already wrapped up the regular season title, in a shootout at 2-2 now with their arch rivals from Tulsa, the Ice Oilers. And at Remington Park today, take a look at the feature, the Purcell Handicap, and look at the big charge by the horse on the outside as we see the payoffs, the winning horse in the Purcell Handicap. And we're going to flash into you right there. Nice run by Vengeful Val, paying $7, $360 and $280. Look down at the bottom left of your screen, the pick 6 numbers, 745, 738. One winner today received more than $72,000. They'll race again tomorrow starting at 1:15. Busy day in sports, but we'll also find out tomorrow if any state teams like OU, OSU are going to the NCAA basketball tournament. That'll be announced tomorrow.
All right. Look forward to it. Thanks, Bobby.
Keep our fingers crossed.
We'll be right back. Before we leave you tonight, we want to remind you about our 669 debate. It's been a hot issue here lately.
Most definitely. That state question will appear on your ballot Tuesday, so get ready to vote one way or the other. And Monday, we have devoted our entire 6:30 newscast to a live debate on the issues of 669. You will hear both sides of the issue. That's going to include probably Jack Edens on the pro side, and then we have our own Burns Hargis and Mike Turpin who will be arguing against it. They've come out against it, and we'll have a representative from the Oklahoma Realtors Association as well. You can also be a part of the discussion. If you have a question or a comment, go
go ahead and send us an email. We'll collect all of the responses, and we'll actually open and read some of them during Monday night's debate.
And I believe one of our Ogles will be moderating that event for us.
Don't know which one, but I bet one of them will.
We have plenty to spare. What about the weather? What's going on?
Weather looks good for Election Day, actually. Temperatures will be climbing back up, it looks like, into the 60s and the 70s, and opportunity for rain also in the forecast by Wednesday and Thursday.
Good.
We are hoping.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.